Welcome to Biff's Mystery Theater. I have many tales to tell you. Ghost stories, murder stories, and tales that will make your bones chill. Join me, won't you? For Theater of the Mind, where you always have the best seat in the house. Now close your eyes and turn off the lights.
Box 13, with the star of Paramount Pictures, Alan Ladd, as Dan Holliday.
Box 13, care of Star Times. Please meet me at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon in front of the Mercantile Building. You can do me a tremendous favor, perhaps change the whole course of my life. I shall be wearing a brown gabardine suit, and I'll be carrying a forest green suede hat.
I'll be carrying a forest green suede handbag. That was all. No name, no initials. Just the letter. Well, it didn't sound like much of an adventure. Brother, but how I could have used a crystal ball in good working order.
And now, back to Box 13 and Dan Holliday's newest adventure, Look Pleasant, Please.
Gee, Mr. Holliday, doesn't look particularly thrilling, but I guess it's like the oldage.
Huh? The what?
The oldage. You know, when somebody says something smart that means something different from what it says, only it's the same thing.
Oh. On your next trip around the office, fix that one up, Susie.
What?
Never mind. Just save up your adage. Okay?
Okay.
Hey, I can just make it to the Mercantile Building by 2 o'clock. So long, Susie. There were lots of people standing in front of the building, but only one girl in a brown gabardine suit, green hat, and handbag. I didn't walk up to her right away because, well, I wanted to take a good look. And what I saw was good. Maybe about 24, slender, lots and lots of brown hair that fell down from that cute hat in a nice wave. Her clothes spelled money with 2 capital M's. Well, I walked over to her. Good afternoon.
Oh.
I'm the man from Box 13.
Oh, thank you. Look, I know this sounds terribly foolish and silly, but I do want your help.
Holliday. Dan Holliday.
Oh, all right, Mr. Holliday. Do you have half an hour to spare?
Well, the afternoon's young, and I can wear it away to an old age. That answer your question?
Yes, it does. Do you photograph well, Mr. Holliday?
Huh? Well, my baby pictures always turned out pretty good. Of course, that was a little while ago, and
Look, I want you to have your photograph taken with me.
Oh, is that all?
Yes, that's all. Of course, I'll pay you for your time and trouble.
Oh, no. My time's my own, and what trouble I get into is usually my own fault.
All right, Mr. Holliday. There's a photographer in this building. He's ready for us.
Oh, by the way, what's your name?
Jones. Mary Jones.
Oh. You know, Miss Jones, a writer often spends hours thinking of the right name for the characters in his stories. But here you come along and without batting an eye, think up a very unusual one.
Do you have to know my real name?
Well, I'll live without it, but
Will you do it, Mr. Holliday?
All right, Miss Jones. Let's go look at the birdie. The photographer was ready, and it didn't take long for him to run off 3 shots. Miss Jones paid him, and the 2 of us went back downstairs. Out on the pavement, I turned to her, and I guess she read the look on my face.
Please don't ask me why, Mr. Holliday. Goodbye, and thanks very much.
Well, before I could move my feet, she was into a cab and gone. If this was it, I'd just chalk up the shortest adventure on record. There's nothing to do but go home and mark it off to experience. Yeah, that's where it should have stopped. The next morning, I walked into my office as usual and... Hey, what is this, Susie?
You could have told me.
Told you what?
I quit. You didn't trust me.
Oh, Susie, will you stop?
Oh, and the phone's been ringing all morning. Everybody wants to know about it.
About what?
Just answer the phone and find out. You...
Careful, Susie, careful. Hello.
Good morning, lover boy.
Oh, Kling. Well, how's the police department? It's bright and early. It's not good to hear your voice.
I called for information.
Yeah, what kind? What about?
Well, shall I wear my organdy hat and crepe de chine bed?
What are you talking about? What is the matter with everyone?
Well, nothing, Angel Face. All's well with the world. And about $15 million.
Everybody's crazy.
Yeah, everybody but you. Oh, nice going, Holiday, nice going. Am I invited, or don't you want cops? It might make the thing look bad, you know.
In 2 seconds, Kling, I'm going to hang up on you. What goes?
Don't you ever read the papers? Or don't you know what's going on in your life?
Now, listen, Oh, go arrest somebody. Now, look, Susie, what's this all about?
Look at the morning paper.
All right, I'm looking at... Holy mackerel.
She's awful pretty.
Be quiet, Susie. Prominent heiress announces engagement to Dan Holliday. Dan Holliday, that's me. That's my picture with her.
Sure it is.
I've been framed.
Oh, but you wouldn't frame a newspaper picture, would you?
Shh. Marcia Jameson, beautiful heiress to Jameson Lumber Fortune announces engagement.
You're just a demijohn.
Don Juan.
Oh, one of the two. But you could have told me.
I could have told myself. Susie, if that phone rings anymore, don't answer it until I get this thing cleared up. One way or another. Goodbye. I got Marcia Jameson's address from the society editor at the Star Times, and a half hour later I was ushered into the big library at the Jameson home. Sitting behind a desk was a youngish-looking man. He rose to meet me as I walked into the room.
Ah, Mr. Holliday. I'm very happy to know you.
Yeah, I wish I could say the same.
I beg your pardon?
Where's Miss Jameson?
I've asked her to come down.
Good.
I suppose I'd better introduce myself. I'm Roger Jameson, Marcia's uncle and guardian.
Well, she needs one.
I don't understand.
Well, that makes two of us. Suppose we pool our facts and get one good, twisted story out of them.
Mr. Holliday, you're acting very strangely. I must say that my niece's choice of a husband is, well, peculiar.
All right, I'm peculiar. At parties, I'm a standout, but I'd like to...
Dan, darling, how nice of you to come this morning.
What did you expect?
You, of course. You've met Uncle Roger?
Yes, Marcia, we've met.
Oh, I want you two to like each other.
Oh, fine. I love everybody in the world, but
Well, Uncle Roger, could I speak to Dan alone, please?
Certainly, Marcia. You'll stay for lunch, Mr. Holliday?
No, thank you.
Oh, yes, he will, Uncle Roger.
Good. We'll have a long talk.
Now, Miss Jameson.
Why did you come here?
Maybe you haven't seen the morning paper.
Mr. Holliday, Dan, help me.
I did, and I've got engaged. Look, Miss Jameson,
Marcia.
I don't know you that well. We just became engaged this morning.
Dan, it's imperative that you act as my fiancé until after the 16th of this month.
Well, what happens then?
Oh, Dan, if you'll just do what I ask until the 16th. On that day, yes, come in.
Lunch is ready any time. You are staying, Mr. Holliday.
Yes, he'll stay, Uncle Roger.
One more lunch like that, and I'd have had indigestion for the rest of my life. Uncle Roger was very curious about me. He asked a lot of questions, which Marcia answered. Then, when I was ready to leave...
Well, of course, Mr. Holliday, this engagement came as a complete surprise to me. I had no idea you and Marcia even knew each other.
Well, I get around a lot, Mr. Jameson.
You'd better call me Roger, Dan.
Yes, there's nothing like being friendly.
Well, I'm sure Dan has a lot of things to do this afternoon, Uncle Roger. We'd better let him go.
Of course. We'll have plenty of time to talk about things, Dan.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr. Roger.
Oh, thank you, Dan. You were wonderful.
Superb, considering I didn't know where the ball was half the time.
Oh, we'll wait until the 16th, won't you?
It's 5 days from now. Meanwhile, what do I tell my friends? And where do I stack the wedding presents?
You can always say we broke up.
Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you something else, Dan.
Can there be anything else?
I almost wish the whole thing were true. Goodbye, Dan.
And with that, I was left standing on the elegant steps of the Jameson Castle. Well, I could have put the whole thing on the line and cleared up the situation. It'd have been easy. Just deny it. Tell the whole story. Or I could stay in the play and see what the score was. I walked down the stairs, then glanced back and looked up at a window and right into Uncle Roger's eyes. Before I could smile, he let the curtains fall back in place. Okay, that made up my mind. Curiosity killed a cat, they say. All right. Yow.
Well, Danny, welcome to the Star Times. And what brings you into the morgue?
Jonesy, I want to do some research.
So you came to the right place. Oh, congratulations.
Thanks.
That's a lot of dough you're marrying.
Yeah.
Kinda sudden, wasn't it? Known her a long time?
Jonesy, I feel as though it was just yesterday. Now, get me everything you've got on her.
Huh? You're gonna look up your own fiancée?
Yep.
What's the idea?
Kind of silly, isn't it?
Well, it's your business. I can put my fingers right on the stuff you...
We got much?
All here. Matter of fact, I was reading about her this morning. When I heard you were marrying her, I did some work.
And?
Well, on the 16th of this month, she comes into about 15 million.
What?
Yeah. But she has to be married by then.
Oh. How come?
Her father's will says so. If she doesn't marry by the 16th of this month, this year, her 15 million goes to, Roger Jameson, uncle.
Oh-ho.
You didn't know?
I don't know a lot of things. What else have you got, Jonesy?
She had kind of bad luck before.
Yes, what kind?
Engaged twice before, and both her fiancés had accidents.
Bad?
Yeah.
Dead?
Well, if they weren't, they had an awful dirty trick played on them.
What?
They were buried.
And now, back to Look Pleasant, Please. Another Box 13 adventure with Alan Ladd as Dan Holliday.
Well, there I was, all wide-eyed and innocent, engaged to marry a girl whose last two fiancés had lots of bad luck. For myself, I wasn't anxious to inherit any of that. But I had to find out a little more. So I went back to the Jameson place. The butler recognized me and let me in without announcing me. I walked down the hall and heard voices in the library. Ordinarily, keyhole listening would have been out, but, well, I heard my name. The door was open, so...
I tell you, Dan, we'll go through with it.
Oh, Dan. Dan, first name already, huh?
Oh, don't be silly, Charles. I've got to convince everyone he is my fiancé.
Well, what if he backs out before the 16th?
He won't.
What makes you so sure?
I know.
Oh?
Oh, don't be stupid, Charles.
I'm not stupid. I'm just careful.
Darling, you know better.
Well, All right, Marcia.
Now, you'd really better go, Charles. After all,
As they say in Alice in Wonderland, curiouser and curiouser. I was wondering about it when Charles came toward the door. I backed away and ducked into another room.
Well, where is Dan now?
I don't know, Charles, but you'd better get back to the office or Uncle Roger will miss you.
All right, darling. Bye.
I'll tell you when and where we can meet again, sweetheart.
You know, I'm fussy about these things.
Who the devil is...
The name's Holiday, Charlie. I'm engaged to Marcia.
How did you get in?
The front door. It works. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, Charles, kissing another man's betrothed.
Well, now look, Dan,
Oh, you go on, Charles. Dan, I want to explain something.
They could stand it.
Now, look, Holiday,
Go on, Charles.
Oh, very well. I'll see you.
Will you come into the library, Dan?
But I've got a book.
Please, I owe you an explanation.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Well, Charles is...
Charles is the man you love. That the line you're hunting for?
Yes,
All right, that's the first olive out of the bottle. The rest should be easy.
but it isn't. You see, Dan, your life's in danger.
Yes, I gathered that from the things I read a while ago.
You read.
Yes, the newspaper files.
Oh, Dan, if you want to, you can back out.
Uh-huh, I know. But maybe I'm more than a little curious.
But you know about my 2 fiancés.
Extinct.
Uncle Roger killed them, or had them killed.
And Uncle Roger knows nothing about Charles?
No.
The aforementioned uncle thinks I'm fiancé number 3 in order of appearance. Uncle tries to put a block on me while Charles goes for a touchdown, right?
Oh, you make it sound so brutal, heartless.
Got any other words for it? You and Charles live happily ever after. I don't.
All right, you can do as you please. I was going to ask you to go through with it, but I can't.
So, before I left, I promised Marcia I'd stick it out another day. Okay, I'm a sucker. But if Uncle Roger was going to toss a curve, I'd at least be waiting for it. But before I went any further, I called on Lieutenant Kling, told him what was up. He was very sympathetic.
Oh, what a story.
Ha, 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 ha. Strikes you funny, huh?
Yeah.
All I want to know is, was there anything that might have tied the uncle in with the deaths of Marcia's fiancés?
No.
You're sure?
Sure I am. When I read about your engagement, I remembered her name.
And?
Those deaths were accidents.
And the uncle?
Clean.
Look, Kling, maybe he's smart.
Yeah, could be. There are lots of smart people in the world.
Oh, but I'm not one of them. Is that it?
Look, Holiday, I warned you that someday your Box 13 routine would land you in a slippery spot. Okay, it's up to you to keep your footing.
Kling, just suppose I lead with my chin, and Uncle Roger takes a poke at it. Would that open up the other 2 cases?
Well, sure.
All right, maybe I'll do it.
Holiday,
What?
look, take it easy.
Why, Lieutenant, you sound concerned for me.
I'd miss having to hold your hand every once in a while. Well, what are you going to do now?
Call on Uncle Roger and make like a sucker.
Well, Dan, sit down, won't you?
Thanks, Roger.
You know, it's going to be quite a treat seeing Marcia married.
Yes, after 2 unhappy beginnings before.
Oh, you know about those? Marcia told you, I suppose.
In a way, yes.
Mm-hmm. You wanted to see me about something, Dan?
Oh, just a social call. If you're busy, I can...
Oh, no, not at all. I was about to leave anyway.
You know, Roger, it's very strange.
Strange? What is?
You haven't asked me anything about myself.
I don't have to, Dan.
Meaning?
I've been very busy since this morning. You see, I have quite a bit of influence. Connection, so to speak.
And they told you what?
Who you are, where you live, what you do for a living. Dan, how much do you love Marcia?
I'm going to marry her.
You have quite a good income, so it's not the money you're after.
Obviously.
Dan, I'd give anything in the world to see Marcia happy. We practically grew up together. There's only 10 years difference in our ages. You see, my brother was 20 when I was born.
Oh, I see.
Marcia is my only living relative.
Oh. Then I understand your concern for her.
I'm glad you do. I want to show you something. Miss Claridge, bring in the Jameson estate papers, will you? Thank you.
What's that for?
Dan, you write mysteries, among other things. Consequently, I think you have a suspicious mind.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm Marcia's uncle, trustee of her fortune until she gets married, which must be by the 16th of this month. Now, surely in one of your stories you must have written about a guardian who misappropriates funds, embezzles.
No, I never have.
Well, it doesn't really matter. You see,
The estate papers, Mr. Jameson.
I thought I asked Miss Claridge to bring them in.
Oh, well, she was busy, and I was on my way past anyway.
All right, Charles. Thank you. Oh, Charles, this is Dan Holliday, Marcia's fiancé. Dan, this is Charles Crane.
How are you?
Fine. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Is that all, Mr. Jameson?
Yes, that's all. Thank you. All right. Here are the papers. I think you'll find every penny accounted for. Everything in order, Dan?
It looks like it.
We're going to get along, Dan. Get along beautifully.
I wonder for how long. If Uncle Roger was planning on making me number 3 on his hit parade, he was playing it smart. Oh, he was smooth. So smooth that I stayed at a hotel that night. If Uncle Roger knew where I lived, I might have visitors. And of course, I didn't sleep much. It was a lot of thinking to do. And it added up to something funny. The next day was Saturday, and it came in handy because Uncle Roger's office was closed. And I wanted to see something there. I called on Marcia and told her. Maybe she was a little surprised.
Why do you want to go through the files, Dan?
I've got a hunch, Marcia. Maybe Uncle Roger didn't show me the right papers.
For the estate?
Yeah, that's it. Have you got a key to the office?
I can get one, and one to the files.
Get them for me, will you? Say, where's Uncle Roger today?
Oh, on the yacht, anchored outside the harbor. You're to go there tomorrow night.
Why?
He's arranged an engagement party. Dan, if you don't want to go, if you want to back out now...
Nothing doing. I'm beginning to like this. All right, Marcia, give me the keys. Getting into the office was easy. I went to the files marked Jameson. Yeah, the papers were there all right. But not the set Uncle Roger had shown me. These were different. What little I knew about finance showed me some fancy juggling had been going on. I was checking them carefully when a neat round hole appeared in the file case alongside my head. I ducked behind the cases and peeked around just in time to see the outer door to the office close. Somebody with a silenced gun played clay pigeon with me. So Uncle Roger was on the yacht, was he? When I got back out on the street, a storm had kicked up. I took a cab back to my apartment and phoned Marcia. She didn't answer. The butler said she had gone and Uncle Roger was on the yacht. Late in the evening, I received a note from Marcia.
Dan, I'm terribly frightened. Uncle Roger insisted that I come to the yacht tonight. I'm writing this note from my cabin now. I know something dreadful will happen, so please, if you can, come at once. There are speedboats at the dock to take you out. But be careful, Dan. Be careful.
It could have been a trap, but I compared the writing on this note with her first letter to Box 13. Oh, it was hers all right. Careful, neat, precise. Okay, if this was a showdown, might as well get it over with. When I got there, the yacht was pitching and rolling like a bad bronc with a burr under his saddle. That all-day storm hadn't let up a bit. Then I was on board, but nobody was in sight. There was one cabin with a light inside. I went to it, opened the door.
Holiday, what are you doing here?
Visiting?
I don't understand. Didn't Marcia tell you the party was tomorrow night?
I like to be early for appointments. Where is Marcia?
What's the matter with you? She's not here.
Oh, yes, she is.
Have you gone crazy?
Not yet. Sit down, Uncle Roger.
Oh, all right.
You know, Uncle Roger, I don't like being shot at.
I don't know what you're talking about. Where is Marcia?
Cut it out.
Yes? What were you going to say? Well, what's the matter?
Have you got a gun?
Gun? Yes, but...
Get it.
Are you...
Get it fast.
It's not here. It's always in this desk drawer.
Is this what you're looking for, Uncle Roger?
Charles, what are you doing here?
And you might ask him what he's doing with your gun. It is yours, isn't it?
Well, it looks like it.
You don't think I'd kill you with my own gun, do you, Holiday?
Very neat, Charlie, very neat. But the crew...
Just 2 crewmen aboard. The rest won't be here until tomorrow. And that storm is convenient. Lots of noise. Something funny, Holiday?
Yeah. Yeah, you are. You think you're going to get by with this, don't you?
Is there anything to stop me?
What is this all about? If this is a prank...
Oh, no, Roger, not a joke. Definitely not. Charles and Marcia had it all planned very neatly. The accidents to her other fiancés gave these two beauties the idea. Charles fakes another set of papers to look as though you were embezzling, and...
What?
Yeah. They make it look as though you can't afford to have her married by the 16th, because if she doesn't marry, then the estate goes to you.
And you're killed with my gun.
That's it. And you're killed the same way. Charles muscles up this cabin to make it look as though there were a struggle. And
All right, Holiday, second guessing.
Oh, no, Charlie, I'm not so dumb. You see, I called the police before I came aboard. You see, I guess...
You're a liar. You couldn't know.
Oh, but I could. Marcia's note gave it away.
Marcia's note?
Uh-huh. The note she was supposed to have written aboard this yacht. You see, her handwriting was neat, precise, careful. Charlie, ever try to write a neat hand on a pitching, rolling yacht? Can't be done. So I knew she wasn't aboard. And there was only one reason she'd want to get me here. To work this frame and... Oh, hello, Lieutenant Kling.
Lieutenant...
Oh! Grab that gun.
Holiday, is he...
Charlie's gone bye-bye for a little while.
Call the police in here, Dan. Where are they?
Are you kidding? Lieutenant Kling is probably saving his Betty by. Me, I gotta sit down. You see, Susie, they weren't satisfied with $15 million. They wanted Uncle Roger's money, too. Which they would have had if that frame had worked.
Uh-huh.
Hey, what are you doing? What do you got there?
A new camera. It's got a wonderful gadget on it that lets me get in the picture. All I do is press this button and... Oh, here, I'll show you. We'll both stand the light, see, like this. And then...
Oh, no. Not again. Good night, Susie.
Next week, same time, Alan Ladd stars as Dan Holliday in Box 13. Alan Ladd appears through the courtesy of Paramount Pictures. Watch for him in his latest picture, Saigon. Box 13 is directed by Richard Sandville, with an original story by Russell Hughes, and original music composed and conducted by Rudy Schrager. The part of Susie is played by Sylvia Picker, and that of Lieutenant Kling by Edmund McDonald. John Beale played Roger Jameson. Production is supervised by Vern Karstensen. This is a Mayfair production from Hollywood. Box 13, with the star of Paramount Pictures, Alan Ladd, as Dan Holliday.
Box 13, care of Star Times. I don't know whether going after a ghost is your idea of an adventure, but I think I may have one for you. I don't believe in ghosts either. At least I don't think I do. However, if you're interested, my name is Michael Davis. I'm an artist, and my studio is at 183 Lincoln Mews. I'm there almost all day.
Is at 183 Lincoln Mews. I'm there almost all day and any day. So if you'll drop around, this may be interesting. Michael Davis. So Mr. Michael Davis didn't believe in ghosts. Well, neither did I, until I met Mr. Davis.
Back to Box 13 and Dan Holliday's newest adventure, The Haunted Artist.
Ghosts? Gee, Mr. Holliday, are there such things?
Ever see a bank account after March the 15th?
Huh?
Skip it, Susie. Michael Davis.
He says he's an artist.
Do you know anything about art, Susie?
Well, I've been to the museum where they have that statue of the Venus B. DeMille.
That's Venus de Milo.
The one without arms?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Well, art is long and time is fleeting, and the same goes for Dan Holliday. And it looks like a trip to Mr. Michael Davis is in order. See you later, Susie. A half hour later, Michael Davis and I were introducing ourselves and shaking hands. I liked him, and he looked like an artist, except when he grinned. Then he looked and seemed a lot younger than he is, 33 or 4. And he grinned as he said,
So you advertise for adventure just to get plots for your stories, huh?
Yes, that's a general idea. Maybe I'll be able to use yours.
Well, this sounds insane, but I think this studio is haunted. Or I am.
Why? Do you hear the patter of cold little feet and the clank of chains at night?
I wish I did instead of... Oh, come and look. You see that easel in the corner?
Mm-hmm.
There's a painting on it. I've got it covered now, but...
But what?
Well, look. Take a good, long look.
I did. What I saw was one of those surrealist things. It was a desert with queer figures raising their arms to a brassy sky and a vicious-looking sun. Well, somehow it gave me the shivers. I was staring at it when...
Well, Holliday, what do you think of it?
What am I supposed to think of it?
Meaning you don't like it?
Well, I don't know.
I hadn't intended you to criticize it. Just look at it and see if you notice anything wrong. Go ahead, I'll keep quiet.
I looked again, and something did strike me as being a little odd. I moved in for a closer look, stood there for a moment.
Uh-huh. You've got it, Holliday. That stone quarry painted in the right-hand portion of the canvas.
Yes, it doesn't belong. I mean, it's out of place.
I didn't paint it.
Maybe we'd better go over the signals again, Davis. I lost the ball on that play.
I don't blame you. But it's the truth. I did not paint that quarry in there. Look at it. The technique is different.
Yes, the brushwork's not like the rest.
Exactly. And that painting has to be done in 3 days. I've been working on it for 7 months, and it has to be finished.
Why, what's the rush?
Well, I've been invited to hang a canvas in the Bernier galleries.
Oh, which means you've arrived. Berner's being to art what the big leagues is to baseball.
Exactly. You see, Holliday, I started the painting 7 months ago. Everything was fine for a time. Then this started.
What Davis told me was this. He'd finish work in the evening, cover the painting, and turn in. Then, in the morning, when he'd take the cover off the canvas, the quarry would be painted in. It happened 6 times. The last time was the night before he wrote his letter to Box 13. He was sure no one had entered his studio during the night. He'd locked his windows and doors, but still it happened.
It's driving me crazy. I've lain awake at night trying to catch the person responsible, but nothing doing. He never shows up when I'm waiting for him.
Have you told the police?
Oh, sure. They thought I was just 2 steps ahead of the man in the white coat.
Huh. You're sure you've locked up every night?
Look at the door. New locks, 2 of them. Even the window fasteners are brand new.
Those are the only entrances?
And exits. No, Holliday. No one comes in through the doors or windows. I'll swear to it.
But someone has to, Davis.
Unless I am leaving the rails.
No, I don't think so.
Thanks. Even my best friends won't tell me that.
Well,
Michael, darling, I brought dinner. Oh,
Come on in, Betty.
here, Mike. Here, take some of these packages.
Here. Betty, this is Dan Holliday. Dan, this is my fiancée, Betty Harper.
Hello, Dan. And my name is Betty.
well, thanks. I'll use it.
Mike, darling, I've invited Kit and Ann for dinner. Is that all right?
Sure. Will you stay, Dan?
Oh, I'm afraid I can't. Besides, I'm unexpected.
Oh, no, we've got plenty. Spaghetti, salad, wine. Oh, be careful of that bottle, Mike. Here, let me have it. The bag's bursting.
Please, I'm not a child.
That's a matter of opinion. You will stay, won't you, Dan?
Well,
Oh, please do. We can talk some more about my problem.
Problem. Your problem, Mike?
Oh, yes. Dan's going to help about the painting. And I'm a child, huh? There goes the wine.
That was clumsy, wasn't it?
accidents will happen, Betty. If I can put in that bromide.
Oh, Mike, I just remembered. We're to go to the Suttons after dinner.
Huh? Oh, that wasn't a promise.
We can't refuse them again.
But Dan's going to...
As a matter of fact, I can't stay anyway. I have an engagement, too.
Well, all right, but you will return tomorrow, won't you?
Sure, I'll be glad to. Good night. Well, I like this. It looked good. Especially when Mike's own girlfriend was anxious to deal me out. That Betty didn't want me on the team. It was easy to see as the brass button in a collection plate. She didn't drop that bottle of wine. It jumped out of her hands when Mike said I was going to help. Why? Well, I'll have to find that out. I got to my apartment after dinner and sat down to think about it when... Hello?
Is this Dan Holliday?
Yes, it is. Who's this?
Well, never mind. Just a moment.
Hello? Hello?
Holliday, you're to keep away from Michael Davis. Forget the whole thing, understand?
Well, frankly, no. Am I supposed to?
Well, yes. I mean, look here, Holliday. It'll be awkward for you if you continue.
Go on. I'm interested.
All right, just remember what I said. Keep away from Michael Davis or you'll be sorry. Now, listen, this is no joke.
But I'm laughing.
I warn you. Good night.
Brother, whoever you were, that was the worst imitation of a squeeze play I ever heard.
Are you kidding, Dan?
No, someone called me last night, wanted me to keep away from you.
Why, it must have been a joke.
Does anyone want to keep this painting out of the burner galleries for some reason?
I thought of that. You mean sabotage, sort of?
Yeah, that's it. Well, who?
No one I know of.
You're sure, Mike?
Of course.
We done any work on the canvas today?
Yes, I scraped off the stone quarry and started my own work again.
Then I've got an idea. What time is it?
4:00. Why?
Got any sealing wax?
Sealing wax? Well, no, I haven't.
Well, can you get some?
Well, yes, there's a store a block down the street, but what do you want with sealing wax?
Well, for one thing, we're going to prove there's no ghost. Or
what?
Or that there is one. I'll run down and get the wax.
All right, you're the boss. Make yourself at home. I'll be back in a few minutes.
I worked fast to get the thing done before Mike came back. I took every tube of paint, every brush, every palette I could see and wiped them clean. Then I put them back where they had been. Just in time. Mike came back, handing me the sealing wax.
Well, will this be enough, Dan?
Oh, yes, I think so. Okay. Now we'll lock all the windows. And be sure they're locked.
What are you up to?
You see, we can find out if someone gets in here while you're asleep. We'll seal the locks and bolts with this wax and...
Yes, but wax can be broken.
If it is, we'll know someone came in the windows of the door.
Yeah, but the person could reseal the locks. And sealing wax melts easily enough.
Sure, but he couldn't put the imprint of my signet ring back in the wax without getting the ring from me first. And I'm very fond of this ring. Never take it off my finger. Okay, Mike, let's go to work on the windows. All right, that does it. Both windows sealed. If our ghost gets in now, you'll have to break the wax.
You know, there's only one thing wrong.
What, Mike?
I won't be able to sleep tonight.
Oh, well, take something. You've got to sleep because your visitor won't break in unless you do.
Dan, suppose those seals aren't broken in the morning, but the painting's been changed anyway. What then?
We both apply for an outside cell. Now, don't do anything more on your painting, and don't touch a thing.
Why not?
You want me to help you, don't you?
Certainly.
Then ask no questions and do as I say. And tomorrow morning we may have an answer. It was 11 o'clock that night before I left Mike's studio. He had taken a sedative and was sleeping like a baby. I turned off the lights, checked the seals in the windows. All okay. I let myself out, tried the door. Locked, but good. Then I took the sealing wax and melted a hunk of it to go over the keyholes. And I pressed my signet ring against the wax. I even forced wax into the crack above the door, initialed that. Michael Davis was sealed in. And whoever, or whatever, was doing the dirty work was sealed out. I hoped. When I got home, I set my alarm for 5 the next morning. Yeah, it went off all right. I stumbled out of my bed, into my clothes, and drove to Davis's studio. I wanted to get there before he woke up. I did, because when I listened at his door, there wasn't a sound. I looked carefully at the seals I'd put there the night before. Well, they were intact. I'll swear to it. Then I rang his buzzer. He was quite a sleeper. Well, he'd taken something and...
Who is it? Why don't you come back in a week?
It's Dan, Mike. Let me in.
Huh? Oh, sure.
Do you always get up this early?
I have a contract with the park commissioners to wake up the birds.
Fine. Shouldn't happen to a vulture.
Sleep all right?
Oh, like a top.
Disturbed at all?
Nope.
Okay. Let's look at the seals.
You bet.
Well, this one's all right. So's this one. And the seals on your door were intact, too. Now, take the cover off the painting, Mike.
What if it's been changed again?
If it has, I'll buy you a new hat.
I wear a size 7 and 3/8. And make it a gray one.
Back to The Haunted Artist, another Box 13 adventure with Alan Ladd as Dan Holliday.
Well, the painting was changed. Davis swore he hadn't done it, and I believed him. But if he hadn't... Okay, there had to be an answer. I took all the tubes of paint, brushes, and palettes with me when I left Davis. Also the painting itself. I wouldn't tell him why. Lieutenant Kling at police headquarters was more curious.
What are you doing, taking a home course in detective work?
Yes, I'm on my 4th lesson. It's entitled, How to Be a Nosy Cop.
What's the gag, Holliday?
Look, there's no gag. I just left a guy who's biting his nails so badly he was working on his elbow a few minutes ago. Kling, run fingerprint tests on those tubes and brushes and palettes. Then compare them with the prints on this glass, will you?
Whose glass is it?
Belongs to an artist friend of mine. I swiped it when he wasn't looking.
What have you got in that big package?
A body.
Whose?
All right, it's a painting. And you don't know anything about art.
I knew an artist model once. She wasn't as bad as she was painted. Okay, so I don't slay you.
All right, I'll laugh at your joke. Ha ha. Now, will you do me that favor?
Okay. Fingerprint test in the tubes, brushes, and palette. Compare with prints in the glass, right?
How soon can I have them?
For anybody else, in a half an hour. For you, 3 hours, okay?
Great. Be back in 3 hours. After leaving Kling, I went to the Star-Times and learned the name of an art expert. An hour later, I showed him Mike's painting.
That is quite good. Yours?
No, it's a friend of mine's.
Good brushwork. Excellent composition. Wonderful color. But this has no place in the picture.
Look, I've got a lot of things to do. What I want you to do is look at the painting and tell me whatever you can about it. I'll pay you, of course.
Oh, very well. But it will take maybe 2 hours to do a good job. You understand?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll be back in 2 hours. Well, it was a merry-go-round. From Kling to the art expert, from him back to Kling.
A little less than 3 hours, Dan.
Haven't you finished?
Sure. There's your stuff, and here's the report. What's the matter with you?
Kling, there's no mistake about this report, is there?
Mistake? Look, Dan, our boy knows his business. Bet on it. Anything you like.
Weren't there any other prints at all?
None. The prints on the paint tubes and the rest of that stuff were the same as on the glass. All from the same person.
But it can't be.
I've got news for you. It is.
Well, the only person who could have touched those tubes and brushes was Davis himself. Yet why should he sabotage his own painting, one that meant so much to me? And yet, he was asleep when it happened. Or was he? I stopped thinking about it then. I had to get back to the art expert and find out something. Well, it was a day of surprises because when I saw him...
Yeah, a fine thing. They pushed me and they took your painting.
Who?
I'm standing here looking when they come in. I have no time to see who they are. They pushed me. They grabbed the canvas and they're gone.
Did you call the police?
Yeah, the police come, but I can tell them nothing.
Never mind. Were they men, the ones who took the painting?
One man, one woman.
You're sure there was a woman?
Young man, I'm an art expert, but I also know other things. I know a woman when I see one, even for a second.
All right. Never mind them now. What did you find out about the painting?
Well, not much. I had not much time, but I can tell you this. I think that the right side of the picture was painted by somebody other than the one who painted the rest.
You mean that stone quarry wasn't painted by the same artist who did the rest of the picture?
No, I do not think so. There's a different technique, one that is familiar, and I think I recognize it.
You do? Well, what's his name? The one who painted the quarry.
Well, it's a peculiar technique. Some years ago, I handled some paintings by this man. And
All right. Who is he?
Luigi Antonetti.
Oh. Where can I get in touch with him?
Well, what?
I want to see him. Where can I reach him?
Oh, you're crazy, young man. Luigi Antonetti is dead.
Oh, that was great. One more twist like that, and I need a corkscrew to take off my hat. Well, there was one person who could answer a few questions for me. Betty Harper. I got her address from Davis and told him to hold base until he heard from me. I guess Betty didn't expect me.
Mr. Holliday, I was just getting ready to go out.
Correction, you just came in. Where's that painting?
Painting? What are you talking about?
Betty, Oh, hello.
Hello.
Kit, this is Dan Holliday. Kit Sayers, Mr. Holliday.
How are you, Holliday?
Oh, that voice. The voice of doom over the phone.
Well, really,
Kit, that was a bad job.
Well,
Be quiet, Kit.
Where's that painting?
Now, Mr. Holliday.
You know you've let yourself in for a vacation on the taxpayers' money with that trick?
Now, really, it was a joke, wasn't it, Betty?
Mr. Holliday, Kit really thought he was helping out in a practical joke.
Well, wasn't I?
Look, will you go?
Now, Holliday...
Oh!
All right. But I must say, it all turned out very stupidly.
Okay, Betty. So you've got the painting.
Yes. Now, will you please let me alone? Will you let Mike alone?
Not before I find out what's going on.
What if I told you his career would be ruined? His life ruined, too? Would you still go on?
Maybe I don't believe that.
But you've got to. I love Mike, and I'm trying to help him.
Help him? Look, if Mike doesn't finish that painting, it won't hang in the Burners' galleries. What becomes of his career then? You're robbing him of his chance, not helping him.
Then I'll rob him of it. I'd rather do that than...
Then what?
I've said enough. Oh, please, you've got to believe me, Dan. All I want is for Mike to be happy.
And all I want to know is what's going on. And what does Luigi Antonetti have to do with all this?
How did you find that out?
It doesn't matter. Is Luigi Antonetti still alive?
He's dead.
And how can he paint that quarry on Mike's canvas?
Get out of here. You get out.
All right. All right, but I'll find out.
If you do and any harm comes to Mike, I swear I'll kill you. Now get out.
That was all from Betty. I would have bet my last penny she was doing what she was doing for Mike. But why? Why? Then I got an idea. Find out about Luigi Antonetti. I looked him up. Found out he'd lived in a small town about 250 miles away. He'd painted there, and... Okay, so I drove to the little town. Sure, I found out. He was dead, all right. I was even shown his grave, and when I looked at it, I wanted to reach back and chip the icicles off my spine. How could a dead man paint? There was only one answer. He couldn't. Then I learned something else. Antonetti had a pupil named Michael Davis. More questions, and finally I found an old school teacher who remembered.
Michael, of course. Wonderful boy. Luigi Antonetti taught him painting. He said Michael had a brilliant career ahead of him.
I see. Well, Mr. Evans, do you know what became of Michael?
Well, I think he went to the city, although I haven't heard.
When did he go?
I believe shortly after he graduated from high school. That must be 16 years ago. Yes, it was right after his best friend was killed.
His what?
Yes, poor boy. He fell into the old quarry.
Quarry? Stone quarry?
Well, yes. It was one night after a senior party. I think, yes. Both lads, Michael and Arthur, were in love with the same girl, you see.
Would her name be Betty Harper?
Now, it's amazing you should know that, yes.
How about this Arthur?
Well, it was quite dark. Arthur, I believe, went back to get something. The bridge across the quarry must have broken. Michael was upset for days, even though Arthur was his rival for Betty.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Evans. You'll excuse me, but I've got to hurry. I was getting an idea, but I had to put more pieces together. So I went back to the city and back to the art expert.
Yeah, it's not only possible, Mr. Holliday. It's quite probable. In his early years, he would use his teacher's technique.
Next stop, the psychiatrist.
Certainly, Mr. Holliday, that's quite possible.
There are numerous case histories similar to it in general form.
Now things began to fit together. The different technique, that of a dead man, yet only Davis's fingerprints on the tubes and brushes. Betty's concern and her willingness to see his career stopped rather than have me find out the reasons for everything that happened. But I had to bring the whole thing out in the open. So later in Mike's studio...
Let me get this straight, Dan. You say I'm doing that myself, ruining my own painting?
Yes, you are, Mike.
Don't listen to him, Mike. No, please don't.
What's the matter with all of you?
Mike, you've got to listen to me.
And he's got to listen to me and Dr. Rawlings.
Why did you bring a doctor?
I'm not only a doctor, Mr. Davis. I'm a psychiatrist.
Are you trying to tell me I'm crazy?
No, of course you're not. But you will be if you don't let us help. Now listen, you want your career, don't you?
Certainly.
All right, you won't have it if you don't let us help.
Oh, Mike, send them away, please.
Mike, do you remember a person named Arthur Denning?
Denning? No, I don't.
Now, will you let him alone?
Betty, believe me, this is better for him. Ask Dr. Rawlings. Tell him, Doctor.
I'm sure Mr. Davis has a guilt complex.
Oh, yes.
And unless we find out why, he'll never finish this painting. Perhaps never finish any other.
Why not? What would stop me?
Your own mind, Mr. Davis.
Mike, you know as well as I that no one came into your studio the night we sealed it up. No one. You were the only person in here. Now do you see?
Not quite. What do you want me to do?
Well,
Dr. Rawlings told Mike what had to be done. Davis agreed.
I think that...
It took only a few seconds for Rawlings to inject a drug into Davis's arm. Then we waited until...
All right, he's under. You asked the question, Mr. Holliday.
Mike, can you hear me?
Yes.
Now listen, Mike. It's 16 years ago. You're in high school. A senior. There's a senior party. It's night. Remember?
Yes. It's dark.
Who's with you, Mike?
Betty and Arthur.
What happened that night, Mike?
I killed Arthur.
Mike, no.
Be quiet. How did you kill him, Mike?
He had to go back for something. I told him to take the shortcut over the quarry.
Then what happened?
I forgot.
You forgot what?
The bridge. The bridge was broken. It was dangerous. But I forgot. I wouldn't have sent him.
Yes, I know. He was killed, wasn't he?
Yes. I loved Betty. So did he. Everyone would have said I killed him. But I didn't. I just forgot about the bridge. I didn't mean...
All right. That's all.
I thought he did it deliberately.
You see, Miss Harper, his conscious mind refused to admit his guilt, so he forgot completely. His conscious mind forgot to protect him from the terrible feeling of guilt.
But ultimately it came out. He learned painting from Luigi Antonetti 16 years ago. So it was natural at first that he used Antonetti's style, technique. Then, 16 years later, his mind goes back into the past, controls his hand, and he paints as he did 16 years ago. But he paints that quarry. The quarry which was associated in his mind with his guilt. Or what he thought was his guilt.
And now? What about now?
Now, when he wakes up, we'll tell him and he'll be all right. For good.
Gallery show have come several new painters of distinction. Not the least of them is Michael Davis, whose intensity of feeling and whose brilliant...
That's good enough, Susie. Well, looks like he's all right, doesn't it?
Gee, isn't the human mind wonderful?
Well, that depends on which way you look at it.
Uh-huh. I was psychoanalyzed once.
Oh? And what did you find out?
We've got a lot of mail to open, Mr. Holliday.
Oh. Good night, Susie.
Next week, same time, Alan Ladd stars as Dan Holliday in Box 13. Alan Ladd appears through the courtesy of Paramount Pictures. Watch for him in his latest picture, Saigon. Box 13 is directed by Richard Sandville with an original story by Russell Hughes. And original music composed and conducted by Rudy Schrager. The part of Susie is played by Sylvia Picker. That of Lieutenant Kling by Edmund McDonald. Production is supervised by Vern Karstensen. This is a Mayfair production from Hollywood. Box 13, with the star of Paramount Pictures, Alan Ladd, as Dan Holliday.
You driveling old idiot. What did you do with it?
I'm not going to tell you.
Carl, be careful.
Shut up, Therese. We've got to find out what he did with that copybook.
What's the matter?
Look. He's dead.
Dead? You killed him.
Don't be stupid. He just died. There's no one can prove anything. Just keep your mouth shut and help me find out what he did with the copybook.
Well. Somebody sends me a copybook through Box 13. Now I wonder why.
And now, back to Box 13 and Dan Holliday's newest adventure, The Sad Night.
It was just a child's copybook. And on the front cover was the name Marina Layton and a date, the year 1930, written in a childish, scrawled handwriting. I riffled through the pages. There was nothing of interest, at least. That's the way it looked then. But Susie thought differently.
Maybe it's some kind of a code, Mr. Holliday. Like one to a buried treasure.
Susie, with your imagination and my typewriter, we could go places.
Well, gee, the Count of Monte Woolley found a buried treasure.
That's Monte Cristo, Susie. Two different people.
Well, they both had beards. Oh, look.
Huh? What's that?
It's a letter to Box 13. Listen. Box 13. A day or so ago, you may have received a child's copybook in the mail. If you did, I should appreciate it if you'd bring it to the address below. Yours truly, Therese Layton.
Let me see that, Susie.
Here.
6821 Lakeshore Boulevard. Swanky neighborhood.
Are you going to take it back, Mr. Holliday?
Oh, yes, Susie. If only to see how the other half lives. So I went to 6821 Lakeshore Boulevard. I tossed the copybook in the back seat of my car, and it bounced on the floor. Maybe I was thinking about anything but the book, for when I rang the doorbell of the big house, I suddenly remembered I'd left the book in the car. I just about started back down after it when the door opened.
Yes?
I'm looking for Teresa Layton.
I'm Mrs. Layton. And you?
Holliday. Dan Holliday. I'm sorry, Box 13.
Oh, of course. Please come in, Mr. Holliday. In the library, please.
Thank you.
Won't you sit down, Mr. Holliday?
Thanks very much.
It's very kind of you to come all this way to return the book. You see, it belongs to my little girl, and I suppose she sent the book to you mischievously.
Your little girl?
Yes, Marina. Sometimes I think she's a problem child.
Oh, really? How old is she, Mrs. Layton?
7.
Did she tell you she sent the book to Box 13?
Well, no, as a matter of fact, she wouldn't say. Then her father found a newspaper with an advertisement cut from it.
And?
We got hold of a paper with the same date and compared the page.
Nice detective work, Mrs. Layton.
I suppose all this uproar over a child's book seems, stupid, doesn't it?
Oh, no, not at all. But there's one question I'd like to ask.
Yes, Mr. Holliday?
You say Marina's 7 years old?
That's right. Why?
There's a date in the book, 1930. It seems to have been written in the same hand as the rest. That date would make her quite a big little girl, wouldn't it?
She put down that date, I suppose, not thinking.
Oh, yes, of course. Where is she now, Mrs. Layton?
She's dead, Mr. Holliday.
Huh?
Mr. Holliday, this is my husband, Carl.
How do you do?
I'm very happy to know you, Mr. Holliday. Do you have the book?
You get right to the point, don't you?
Mr. Holliday, our daughter Marina is dead. We want the book merely for sentimental reasons.
Well, I could understand that if your wife hadn't, well...
Lied to you?
Bluntly, yes.
Therese, dear, will you excuse us?
Yes, I'll be upstairs.
My wife isn't well, Mr. Holliday. It's not an easy thing for me to say, but she imagines our daughter is still alive.
Look, Mr. Layton, if I'd ever written a story with as many holes in it as yours, I'd be laughed out of the writing game.
What do you mean?
Your wife says Marina sent me the book, yet you say Marina's dead. You know, you two should get together.
All right, Mr. Holliday. How much do you want for the book?
Oh, now we're getting someplace. What's it worth to you?
500.
Oh? That's a lot of money for a child's copybook.
You asked how much, and I told you. Now, may I have the book?
I don't think so.
It's worth nothing to you, Mr. Holliday. Believe me, it's worth absolutely nothing to you.
All right, maybe I'm just curious. Tell me why you want the book, and maybe we'll do business.
I can't tell you.
Or you won't tell me, is that it?
I want that book. Now.
I haven't got it with me.
You're lying.
All right, search me. I haven't got it with me. I forgot it.
You're going to be difficult.
Look, the book was sent to Box 13, obviously not by you, your wife, or your daughter. You found out it was sent when you traced my ad, right? All right, that means someone else sent it to me. I'll return the book when I find out who and why.
Mr. Holliday, I'm going to get that book.
All right. We'll play a game. Book. Who's got the book? Now, goodbye, Mr. Layton.
Goodbye, Mr. Holliday. You can find your way out, I hope?
I think so. Oh, anytime you want to tell me the reason behind all this, we may be able to do business.
I think we'll do business, Mr. Holliday. Later.
I left, and when I got home, I spent the rest of the day and most of the evening trying to figure out why anyone would be so anxious to get hold of the book. It was filled with a kid's scrawling handwriting, sums and addition, problems in subtraction, alphabets. Then I came to one page and stopped. It was filled with strange, weird-looking figures, as a kid would try to draw human beings. But there was something about them that didn't look like a kid's work. They were grotesque, almost fiendish faces and distorted, twisted bodies. And underneath were 3 words in Spanish. La noche triste. The sad night. The words were scrawled too, but somehow they were different from the rest of the book. I kept turning back to that page, wondering, trying to connect something in my mind with those figures in the book. Then I must have dozed off because the next thing I knew, it was 3 a.m. Turned off my light, lay back in bed. Then I was getting company unexpected, and I wasn't in the mood to entertain. Well, what a wonderful thing a skeleton key is, like the magic words, open sesame. Somebody was looking for something, and it wasn't Easter eggs on the White House lawn. I waited, and then... Looking for something, Bud? Whoever it was didn't wait for the floor show. I turned on the light. Yeah. He'd grabbed the book, but he had left a knife behind. One that I picked up with a handkerchief. If there were fingerprints, he would introduce me to the gent. And Kling could do me that favor.
Got any idea who it was, Holliday?
No, I haven't, Kling. We had our waltz in the dark.
Oh, must have been romantic.
Oh, yes, I was overcome. Look, can you get prints off that knife handle?
Seems to me you could pick an easier way of meeting people.
Oh, I like the hard way. It makes for lasting friendships.
Look, did he try to knife you?
Well, I don't think he was doing KP with it.
Why was he after you?
He wasn't.
Oh, I see. He breaks in at 3 a.m. You surprise him, he pulls a knife on you. But he wasn't after you. It was just a social call, or maybe he was a visiting nurse.
Kling, will you see about those prints?
Yeah. If you'll prefer charges.
Maybe, but more important, he took something I want back.
What?
A child's copybook.
A child... You know, Holliday, the more I see of you and this Box 13 can make you run, the more I believe in elves and pixies. Why did you have a child's copybook?
I'm learning to write.
You're going to keep this all to yourself, huh?
Till I find out what it's all about.
Okay. Well, from what you say about the cookie who disturbed your Betty bar this morning, he might have a record.
In that case, you can tell me who he is.
You don't want me to pick him up?
No, I'd rather have the pleasure. You see, he hung one on my chin.
He hung one on here. All right. Come back in an hour.
Oh, Mr. Holliday. Gee, I've been trying to get in touch with you all morning.
I was at headquarters, Susie.
Oh, what'd you do?
Oh, no, don't jump to conclusions. Why were you trying to get in touch?
Look.
Huh? When did this come?
This morning, I picked up Box 13 mail at the Star-Times, and that note was in it.
Mm-hmm. Well, as they say in the books, Susie, the plot thickens. In fact, it's so thick now I can't see a thing.
How'd you get that bruise on your chin?
I shaved with a baseball bat this morning.
Oh. Well, are you going to meet Marina Layton?
Yeah, that's what she asked me to do in her letter. So if you want me, I'll be at...
At where she says, the lobby of the Camden Hotel.
So I got to the lobby of the Camden Hotel. It wasn't hard to find Marina Layton. She was dressed as she said she'd be. I took a good look before walking over to her. She was about 24, not pretty, but with one of those faces that always says, wonderful day, isn't it? Okay, so maybe now I'd find out what all the excitement was about. I walked over. Oh, pardon me. Are you Marina Layton?
Yes. And you're...
That's it, Box 13.
You know, I didn't think there was such a thing. I thought this would all turn out to be some sort of a joke.
Oh? Well, do we sit here?
If you like. Well, may I have it, Mr...
Holiday. First name's Dan.
All right. May I have the book, Dan?
I haven't got it, Marina.
But you must have it. Mark said he sent it to you.
Oh, no. Another character in the show. And who's Mark?
He was my father's dearest friend. But surely you ought to know that.
Look, Marina, I don't know a thing.
Wait a moment. Here's his letter to me.
You want me to read it?
Yes.
Dear Marina, the years I've kept something from you that your father wanted you to have. Now I know someone else wants it. But you can have it by writing to Box 13, care of the Star-Times. I want to write more, but I don't dare. Just remember your own name is a clue. Love, Mark.
Well?
Well, what? If your father wanted you to have what he gave to this Mark, why didn't he try to get it from me?
Who tried to get what from you?
Your father and mother,
That's crazy. My mother died when I was born, and my father disappeared almost 5 years ago.
Oh, now it begins to make some sense. Not much, but a little.
What are you talking about?
The character who said he was your father, he wanted that copybook of yours. He must have found out in some way that Mark had it.
But who was the man?
I don't know. He said he was your father.
I don't understand all this.
It makes two of us. But listen,
What's the matter?
How do I know you're Marina Layton?
But I am.
Yeah, I guess you are. Because since someone already took the copybook from me early this morning, it'd be a little senseless to try to get it this way. All right, Marina, what do you know about a copybook? Yours, with the date 1930 written in it.
Copybook? Mine? But nothing at all.
Huh? Oh, now, wait a minute. All this business has to mean something. Don't you even remember a copybook?
I suppose I must have had one. Wait, of course. Black, ragged-looking. Alphabets in it.
That's it. Now, what about it?
Nothing. It was just an ordinary book. I scribbled in it and... Did you say 1930?
Well, yes, why?
Because in 1930, I was with my father in Mexico. I had the book then because I was being tutored by Mark, and I used it for my lessons.
Did you write anything in it that might be important?
No, not a thing.
Well, you must have.
I didn't.
Did you write the Spanish words, La Noche Triste?
Why, that means the sad night.
Yes, I know. Did you write them?
No, I don't think so.
Then your father must have. But why?
Are you sure those words were in the book?
Well, of course I am. Oh, would Mark know?
Mark? Why, Mark's dead.
And now back to The Sad Night, another Box 13 adventure with Alan Ladd as Dan Holliday.
We went to the place where Mark had lived. Yes, he was dead. Heart failure, the doctor said. But we learned something else. That he had had visitors the night he had died. And from the description of them, they could have only been the man and woman who posed as Marina's parents. And I learned a few things more from Marina. That her father was an archaeologist, and in 1930 he was excavating Aztec ruins outside Mexico City. It was on the way back to Kling's office in my car that she told me some more.
Father disappeared in Brazil almost 5 years ago. Then the remains of his expedition were found.
And your father?
He died. But he left records, letters for the museum.
And anything for you?
No, nothing.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Wrote letters to the museum, yet nothing for his daughter.
Why do you say it like that?
Doesn't it seem odd that he should leave letters and records for everyone but you?
Yes, it does.
There are a lot of things that seem odd. You wait here, Marina. I'll be right up.
Well, Holiday, I'm just about to leave your office.
Oh, what'd you find out?
You were distinguished company this morning. Little Georgie Garson, strong man, general hoodlum.
I didn't think it was little Eva.
Want me to pick him up?
Yeah, I'd love your company. Okay, Kling, let's go. I want to ask Georgie a few questions. Took Kling about 5 minutes to get Georgie to talk. He told us he'd been hired to get that book, and from his description of the guy who hired him, well, it couldn't have been anyone else but the man who posed as Leighton the day before. Then a quick trip to the house on Lakeshore Boulevard. We might as well have stood in bed. The fake Mr. and Mrs. Leighton were gone, and with them, the copybook. And that left us at a dead end. But dead. But at the morgue of the Star-Times, Marina and I learned something else.
Uh-huh. I think we got lots of stuff on Albert Leighton.
Trot it out, Josie.
Yeah. He's the one who got himself lost in Brazil about 5 years ago, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, here's a folder on him. News clips, photos.
That's Dad.
Look, who's this, Jonesy?
Now, let me see. Oh, that's the guy who found Leighton, or what was left of the expedition. Name of Carl Bremer.
Oh, Mr. Bremer and the gent who wanted that book are one and the same. Did you ever see Marina?
Not that I remember.
Where were you when your father went to Brazil?
In school.
And you didn't see him again after he left for Brazil?
No.
Jonesy.
Uh-huh.
You know a lot of things. What do the Spanish words La Noche Triste mean to you?
Nothing except they mean the sad night.
Is that all?
Yeah, why?
Because they mean more than that. Marina, can you get a sample of your father's handwriting?
Oh, yes, of course.
And I've got a hunch that Bremer and his wife are leaving for Mexico.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah?
Look, this Leighton was an archaeologist. Why don't you go to the museum to find out about him?
Good idea, Jonesy, thanks. But I've got a phone call to make first. If my hunch is correct, we've got to stop Bremer from getting to Mexico.
Let me get this straight, Dan. You want this Bremer and his wife picked up, huh?
Yeah, that's it.
What's the charge?
You pick them up, I'll prefer charges. And maybe one of them will be murder.
What?
Will you do it?
Oh, what if they're out of the country by now?
Extradite them.
You've got to have a strong charge to do
Oh,
that.
I have. 1, causing the death of an old man by trying to force something out of him. 2, hiring Georgie Garson to break into my apartment. And 3, attempting to defraud. Is that enough?
Yeah. If you can make those charges stick.
You get them and I'll make them stick. Marina got a sample of her father's handwriting.
Is this what you wanted?
You sure this is your father's handwriting?
Of course. That's a letter from him, just before he left for the interior of Brazil.
But the writing in the book, it was nothing like this.
Well, maybe he didn't write it.
He must have. Wait a minute. Mind if I write on the other side of this paper?
No.
Okay. Now watch. I'm right-handed. But suppose I write like this with my left hand. What's it look like?
Just a scrawl.
Sure, as a kid would write. As you would have written in 1930.
But why would he have done that?
To make it look as though you'd written it.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
It does make sense if you realize that your father had learned something that was big enough to make him want to hide it. And where would he hide it? in a place no one would ever think of looking for it. A kid's copybook.
No, he kept his notebooks. Everything he did was in his own notes.
But not this. You were with him in 1930. What was he doing?
Oh, I told you, working on the Aztec ruins outside of Mexico City.
And what did he find?
His findings were published. The museum has
the museum. What's the matter with me? Come on, Marina. Maybe we're getting someplace.
Yes, of course I know Albert Layton's work. He was a great man. World has lost a genius, Miss Layton. Too bad.
Look, Mr. Dougal, we want you to help us.
I'll do my best. You said over the phone that it was important. Had something to do with our Mexican antiquities here at the museum.
Yes, that's right. What did Professor Layton send here?
Well, come in here, into the Aztec room.
I remember all these things.
Of course, everything isn't here. The Mexican museums were given their share, and...
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah?
Look.
What's the matter?
Look on that far wall, those figures.
Oh, yes. Well, they're only copies. Quite well done, of course. The original paintings were lost when the Spaniards destroyed the temples. The Aztecs were jealous and warlike people.
Because on the far wall were the same figures I'd seen in that copybook. The same grotesque, weird figures with their twisted bodies and savage faces. There were 3 of them. Their painted eyes looked out at us, seemed to accuse us. I turned to the curator. Mr. Dougal.
Yes, Mr. Holliday.
What are those figures?
Well, they're Aztec gods. The one over here in the upper left is Quetzalcoatl, supreme god of the Aztecs. The one in the upper right is Huitzilopochtli. He's one of my favorites, a god of war. The one at the base of the triangle is Tlaloc, god of rain.
Marina, those were the figures in your copybook, and they were above the words La Noche Triste.
But why? Why should Dad have done that?
Mr. Dougal, what is that triangle?
Well, where each of those figures is painted was a temple long ago destroyed by the Spaniards under Cortez. In the center was one of the causeways that led to Tenochtitlan. That's today's Mexico City. It was over that causeway that the Spaniards made their escape on La Noche Triste.
La Noche Triste. Look, sit down, Mr. Dougal. I want you to tell me a lot more. The curator talked for an hour. And what he told Marina and me all added up. The copybook, the figures of those old Aztec gods. Oh, Marina's father had something all right. And he hid it in that copybook. No wonder Bremer wanted it. No wonder old Mark had kept it, and the whole thing made a story that went back over 400 years. A story of greed and bloodshed. One that reached out to touch me, Marina, old Mark, Bremer, all of us. Later in Kling's office, facing the Bremers, with Marina sitting there, too.
All right, Holliday. Let's have it.
First, I'll take that copybook, Bremer.
All right. What good will it do you?
None. And it wouldn't have done you any good either.
What do you mean?
You caused the death of one man to get this. Another man, famous, respected, lost his head and tried to keep what he had found. But it wouldn't have done your father any good either, Marina.
No, I know.
What's the story, Dan?
Well, it really begins, Kling, when Bremer found the remains of the Layton expedition in Brazil. He found letters, records. He brought some of them back with him, but some he didn't. That right, Bremer?
You know everything. You tell it.
Thank you, I will. One of the letters was to Marina. Marina, whose name is the same as the Indian girl who was Cortez's consort. That was the one you kept, Bremer. A letter telling Marina about the copybook and what it contained.
All right. What is it, Holliday?
Let's go back to July 1st, 1520, to Hernan Cortez and his army. The army that marched through Mexico and destroyed the Aztec Empire.
That's got something to do with all this?
Everything. On that night, the Aztecs rose up in fury against the Spaniards. They had thought Cortez and his men were gods, but they'd found out differently. They determined to drive the Spaniards out forever. The Spaniards took all the gold they could carry. The Aztecs went after them. They trapped Cortez and his army on one of the causeways that led to the city. The causeways were narrow. There were thousands of Indians in canoes. All night long the battle went on until in the morning 450 of the Spaniards were dead and thousands of Aztecs. But Cortez and a remnant of his army escaped, got to the mainland.
And the copybook?
Those 3 words, La Noche Triste, the sad night. are written into Mexican history as the night Cortez and his army and the Aztecs fought and killed each other until the canals were choked with them. The gold the Spaniards took with them did them no good. They couldn't fight with it or eat it. So sobbing and screaming, they dumped the treasure into the waters of the canal, and it sank into the mud of the bottom. It's never been found. Marina's father thought he had located it. But look. Here's a map of modern Mexico City, where the causeways once ran. There are streets and houses, so you see, no one will ever find that gold. And maybe it's just as well. It's too red with blood to be of any use to anyone.
But gee, Mr. Holliday, if all that gold's there, why doesn't somebody go after it?
Oh, you too, Susan?
No, I guess not. But, tell me something, Mr. Holliday. What were the names of those Aztec gods?
Winkin', Blinkin', and Nod. Good night, Susie.
Next week, same time, through the courtesy of Paramount Pictures, Alan Ladd stars as Dan Holliday in Box 13. Box 13 is directed by Richard Sandville, with an original story by Russell Hughes. Original music is composed and conducted by Rudy Schrager. The part of Susie is played by Sylvia Picker, and that of Lieutenant Kling by Edmund MacDonald. Production is supervised by Vern Karstensen. This is a Mayfair production from Hollywood. Watch for Alan Ladd in his latest Paramount picture.